Hey there, I'd like to show off where I'm at with this project, the PicoSynth Sandbox. I've been working on it since about October of last year, and this is the second revision, which I'm pretty happy with so far. There are a few little things that need to be updated, but it's all pretty minor adjustments. I may have a third revision, but the overall form factor probably the same. This is my initial case that I'm working on. There are some issues with the speaker grills. I got to figure them out. Other than that, it is pretty clean. As you can tell, this is battery powered. In fact, we have a little switch on this side, and voila, power's on. We have a few options in the back. I did add some new features. Most importantly is this line input feature. The system now has an I2S DAC, ADC. I apologize. So you can actually put patch signal into this. Unfortunately, CircuitPython at the moment doesn't have support for I2S input. That might be something that comes with a custom firmware in the future. There are actually stereo microphones on either side of the device as well as stereo speakers. Now we also have MIDI input. Now it is 3.5 millimeter jack. As you can tell, there's a whole lot of 3.5 millimeter. That's just the way it's going to be. I apologize. But you know, with proper connectors, or a lot of devices nowadays are just 3.5 millimeter. This should work great. And then we have a headphone here on the right. Now that is a new feature. There's a better speaker amplifier in this, even though I'm still working through some issues with it, like it's a little too power hungry, but it works great for headphones. Headphones sound fantastic, and then the speakers work pretty well too. But then we also have the line output, whereas in the previous revision, it was just line output. And then on the side here, I don't actually have symbols on the case right now to indicate what these options do. I might work on that. We have our volume wheel here, as well as our the level of the line input on the side. And then as you'll notice, we actually have an SD card jack, which is something that is working great. I haven't really implemented it that much in the current software, but it's something we're going to add as we go along. So I'd like to show this off, which, you know, I'll get you a little zoomed in here. This is just a webcam, so I apologize. It's going to not look fantastic. It's a little bit. You still can't really see the screen. You can see it says some stuff on there. Anyway, there are a number of features on this. I had some programs before, and I've kind of added it together. Like there was a monophonic synthesizer and polyphonic synthesizer. Now it's all just one synthesizer, and you have some options to choose between. But there are a few things that are going to be updated on this, like some of the controls got to get a little bit better. The patch system needs to be a little bit better. I need to add support to, you know, make names and stuff, because names are fun. There's a few other things like that, which we're going to tweak up and make a little bit more usable, but you can still get some pretty cool sounds. I will say again, this is running at 22.05 kilohertz, with a buffer of about 8 kilobytes. I would like this to run at 44.1, and it totally can, but I haven't quite got it worked out yet. My whole plan, this is all running in CircuitPython, my whole plan is to eventually write custom firmware for it, to do all the same kind of stuff and then some. And that, in theory, when I get that done, it should be far more capable. You know, we're going to have access to both cores. We're going to have a lot more control about how the system works and how things are timed and run, and should be a lot more functional and more complex. Anyway, so this is 4 voices. Each one has 2 oscillators, which, you know, that alone sounds pretty good, but we've also added some monophonic mode and a monophonic ×4 mode where you can run all 8 voices for a single key. That sounds pretty killer. Now, the old one only had 1 encoder. Now we have 2 encoders. That makes it a little easier to jump through. You can use the left encoder to change the option that you're looking at, and then the right encoder to turn to increment the value of the thing that you're looking at. You can also use the left encoder. You double click it, and it'll jump to the next category in the menu. So if, like, I'm looking at oscillator 1 right now, and I want to go over to oscillator 2, boom, oscillator 2. There could be, in the future, we'll have some better support with that, but for now that works good. Clicking actually doesn't do anything on that one. And then if you hold down the left, you'll actually save your patch, which works okay. I got some stuff to work out on that, but whatever. So let's show off a few patches. I can't remember what's going on this one exactly. We have 2 oscillators. So you have control of vibrato, pan, tremolo, and that's another thing. I really wanted to emphasize the stereo nature of this device. So there's a lot of awesome panning functions that you can use. You also have filter LFO, etc. I will say the filter LFO doesn't run at a per sample basis. It runs in like a separate control loop. And it's a little slow, so you can actually hear the filter going in some cases, like kind of stepped along. That's something I hope to improve in the future. But we also have 2 envelopes. We have the amplitude, and there's actually display does a pretty good job, if you can kind of see it, of showing you the actual amplitude of the waveform. The amplitude is an ADSR, and the filter is just an AR, which is attack and release, or ASR, I guess, if you include sustain. Anyway, cool. Let's do some examples. Let's get to the fun stuff. I'm not going to program or play that well. I apologize. Another thing I did add before I go on is I did add arpeggiator, which I'll show in some examples here. There's actually a lot of options here. You can go up octaves, you can change it BPM, blah, blah, blah. Some of the timing on the arpeggiator right now isn't perfect. I plan on fixing that in the future. Here's the first patch. So the system, one thing I added to the keyboard module is voice allocation. I think it's working okay. It might need some more tweaking. But it's supposed to try its best to allocate the voices based on when they were last released and, whatever the priority is. And that's working okay, but it could use some improvement probably. So now let's just talk about real quick the polyphonic. So this is polyphonic right now. I feel like there's some weirdness going on, but whatever. If I switch it to monophonic, yeah, it's monophonic. And then monophonic times 4, if you can see that. Not that well. It's a little fatter. I need to work on increasing the dissonance between the sounds to just make them a little fatter. Now let's go over to the next patch. So this is just showing off that filter envelope a little bit more. This is monophonic. Is it X4? Yeah, it's times 4. So just an example of a really fat saw wave sound with a lot of modulation on it. Let's go back to the patches. That's the next patch. One other thing I'll add, as you see, there's a little blue LED. That is MIDI output. MIDI output is supported on this as well as MIDI input, so you could get an actual nice keyboard. But it's kind of fun playing on this guy. So here's an example of the arpeggiator. As you tell, timing's off a little bit. Working on that. You do have control of, well, you can do multiple keys. With a keyboard, an external keyboard, you can use the sustain pedal to act kind of like a latch. I might add actual latching support in the future, just using a setting. But I don't think I'm going to add any hardware buttons to do that, per se. So you can adjust the gate as well. Anyway, it's cool. Oh, I should add probability to that. Anyway, next preset. This one takes a while to load for some reason. Currently, all the presets are saved as JSON files in the memory of the Pico itself. We are not using the SD card, but it would be fairly easy to add SD card support to this if you're interested. Oh, this is one. I wanted to show off the sine noise thing waveform. I wanted to make, okay, so this has a filter LFO, and I just kind of wanted to show off bringing that noise in through the filter and kind of a bell sound. Pretty cool. And put that through some reverb, sounded great. Okay, next patch. Okay, this is a bit of an example of, it's kind of similar to the last one, but showing off the high pass functionality. That or the band pass. Might be band pass. So there's, I think it's a triangle wave and a noise wave. Let's see what we got. Yeah, the first oscillator is that noise. The next one is a triangle wave. Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, and then I wanted to make like a really bass heavy. I made all these patches last night, just screwing around. But I wanted to make a really bass heavy example. This one, I think, yeah, it is monophonic X4. So like if I took out the all four voices doing the same note, I just made it monophonic. Oh, it should have released. Okay, here we go. Still sounds good, but not as fat. Yeah, and this one has, I think it's a square wave and a triangle wave. Cool. Cool. Let's do the next patch. We might be running out of patches here. Okay, so this is your basic patch. But, let me show you how to quickly make some music here. So let's not do the arpeggiator. Let's bring the volume down. So there's two oscillators, right? Let's show off the pan here. So I'm going to take one of these oscillators, move it all the way to the left. Let's take the other oscillator and move it all the way to the right. Cool. So they're like wide panned. Let's do triangle. Cool. Where did my waveform go? There we are. Cool. Let's detune them a little bit. We'll go into the fine tuning. Cool, that sounds good already. Do we go down or do we go up? I mean, it sounds fun already. So I'm going to add a little bit of resonance. And then let's do some filter attack. This is just on one oscillator. This is the other thing. All the settings are independent of the oscillator. You only do one at a time. So I like to take the filter envelope and bring it up. And then to where I think sounds good. And then add that attack. Cool. Sounds good. Cool. Let's add a little bit of release. I want to do some pitch modulation too, so you can like woo or like boo, or something like that. Eventually. That's a good starting point. Let's add some vibrato. Also, in a custom firmware, it'd be great to do like a more of a modulation matrix, so you can have more options at your disposal. Sounding good? For some reason I'm not getting a third note out of this. Cool. Well, you know what? I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks so much for joining me, I guess. Let me save that patch real quick. Cool. You have a great day. And I'm going to be putting out a lot more of this as we go along. I have a lot more ideas, a lot more programming progress we're going to be making. I think hardware, we're nearly there, minus a few edits. And all that's going to be left is just to get this thing to do something cool. Anyway, you have a great day. Thank you for joining me.